Hey everyone, what is going on? So we're doing some more Twilight PvP battles, and I am using Venomoth. Now, I had no idea about Venomoth. I didn't know it got confusion until people told me on Twitter. They had asked me my opinion on Venomoth, and I was like, well, I don't really see it being that great because it's going to lose to Toxicroak's Mud Bomb. But no, because it actually has confusion, it's going to wipe out Toxicroak. Not only that, but it's also going to be on even footing with like Golbat and Crobat because their flying attacks are super effective against Venomoth, but Venomoth's confusion is super effective against them, and I feel like it's worth trading my Venomoth for their Golbat or Crobat because I do have trouble with that. So really powerful Pokemon, thank you so much. This was not my suggestion, and that's why I create these videos, because I want to learn as well and I want to get better. Like, I'm not saying I'm Mr. Know-It-All. I'm glad you guys do enjoy the video and hopefully you guys can learn from my videos, but I also want to learn from you guys. Like when those people mentioned Venomoth to me on Twitter, I looked at it, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to try this out, and I'm so happy that I did, so happy that I tried it out, and it's really been working great for me, able to knock out that Toxicroak, and as I said, Golbat, Crobat, switching into Venomoth again. He obviously pulls the switch into Honchkrow. Now, Honchkrow does beat Venomoth every single time, and because I switched, I could not switch again, so if they have, like, Honchkrow with Sky Attack, or even if it doesn't have Sky Attack, Honchkrow in general does beat Venomoth, so it's not a guaranteed win, but it's definitely a good way to go, especially if your opponent is not expecting it. I'm not sure how many people are going to have Venomoth on their team, so yeah, I do have Confusion and Bug Buzz on my Venomoth, so Confusion is definitely recommended. You totally need that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Totally recommend using Venomoth on your team. Now, if they don't really have many poison types, or they don't have, you know, Golbat, Crobat, or Toxicroak or whatnot, you don't have to bring the Venomoth with you, right? I mean, you could leave it in the sidelines, and that's basically what this game is about. It's about prediction. It's about, you get to see your opponent's team, so if they don't really have the poison types, or if they don't have anything that's super weak to it, you can switch out. But yeah, I'm starting with Toxicroak, switching into my Alolan Raticate, and he does switch into his Toxicroak. So this is obviously going to beat my Alolan Raticate every single time because it has counter, dynamic punch, whatever it happens to be. Now I do switch into my Venomoth, which of course is going to beat this Toxicroak. Now I do go ahead and block that Mud Bomb because that would have done a lot of damage to Venomoth, but he does switch into Honchkrow, and this is actually going to be neutral to Honchkrow, but it still is enough to knock it out. So look at that strength coming through. So he does knock me out with Crobat, so I switch into Toxicroak, and you know, Crobat is going to be able to beat me. I don't feel like in this game I necessarily picked the best Pokemon to bring, but yeah, so I am going to choose to block that, but I do get off the Mud Bomb, and of course that is actually going to knock him. So we actually won that game. I'm sorry. Wow, we actually did win that game. I thought I lost that one. No, but we did go ahead and win that game. Barely, you know, not with Venomoth, but Venomoth definitely did help. But this game was starting with Skorupi, switching into that good old Confusion Venomoth. He switches into Golbat, I guess for the flying moves. However, I also, as I said, have Confusion, which is super effective against Golbat. So it's basically a trade. I'm trading my Venomoth. Well, my Venomoth is still alive, but, you know, for his Golbat or Crobat. I did take a lot of damage, but it was totally worth it, as I've said. Now, obviously, Confusion cannot hit Dark types, but you do have that Bug Buzz, which does hit Dark Pokemon, so it definitely does something to them as well. And he gets off another Aqua Tail. I did decide to block because I knew that I would be able to get the Bug Buzz up, and that is going to be enough to knock out Drapion. So as I said, Bug Buzz does hit it. He obviously is able to knock out my Venomoth, but I switch in to my good old Drapion, and Drapion is able to knock out that Toxicroak, so we take yet another win. So yeah, I mean, there are counters to Venomoth. As I said, Honchkrow is a counter in every way, you know, to Venomoth, so that's a good counter. Outside of that, if you have a Skunk Tank with Flamethrower, that could be a counter to Venomoth, but again, I don't know how common Venomoth is going to be. I don't know if people really overlook it or not, because I totally overlooked it. I didn't even mention that in my discussion video. I just mentioned Gardevoir with Confusion, and I know there's Mr. Mime, which is good, and Honchkrow can get Psychic, but again, you know, I didn't even think of Venomoth, so I totally recommend Venomoth. Now, I didn't invest in Venomoth at all. It had 1450 CP, and that's what I kept it at. Totally worth it. But for this game, yeah, going up against that Muk, I do use the Mud Bomb. He does go ahead and block, and I do get another Mud Bomb off, and I was hoping that this would knock out, but unfortunately barely knocks out, so he does get his charge move off. So Sludge Wave is going to be enough to knock me out, because that is a 1-bar charge move. It's a really powerful move, so he does go ahead and beat me. And so we're going to go ahead and move into the next battle. But yeah, I cannot recommend, as I said, Venomoth enough. Venomoth is so good. I do start with Venomoth. He starts with Honchkrow, but obviously I'm going to have to pull the switch into Crobat, and I know he can't switch into Toxicroak because Crobat walls Toxicroak pretty well. Mudbomb's not going to do much. He does go ahead and choose to block, so I'm going to go ahead and block his Brave Bird. He didn't actually add Sky Attack on this Honchkrow yet, but I think he's going to. I'm not too sure. But we do go ahead and knock out that Honchkrow. Totally worth it to save the Venomoth in the back, and it's lagging a little bit. That's okay. He does switch into Drapion. We're just going to let Crobat go down here, use that Shadow Ball, doing a decent amount of damage, and Crobat's actually hanging on quite a bit because it resists Drapion. You know, it resists poison, resists dark types, whatnot. We actually do get another move off, which is Sludge Bomb, and he's going to block it, but my Crobat faints, and I'm going to go ahead and switch right into my Toxicroak, which is going to be able to knock him out. So now it's Toxicroak versus Toxicroak. Go ahead and use that Mud Bomb, and Mud Bomb is not going to knock him out, but we are going to be able to knock him out. But of course he knocks me out, and then we go ahead and switch into Venomoth, and that's obviously going to win the game. No matter what I had, was going to win it because he was basically gone at that point. So moving on to the next game, and I am beginning with my good old Venomoth. He begins with his Toxicroak. Basically at this point I was beginning with Venomoth, and if he had Toxicroak I would keep it. If he had Honchkrow, I'd switch out, or if he had something like Umbreon, I would switch out, and then he wouldn't be able to do much to my Pokemon. But yeah, I do get off that Dynamic Punch, and he does protect, and he does get off his Foul Play, and I do go ahead and protect because I knew I would be able to knock him out. I do get off that Mud Bomb, and yeah, so I do go ahead and knock out Umbreon. He decides not to shield, and he switches into Toxicroak, and I am going to be able to get my Mud Bomb off first, which is excellent. It's going to force the shield, so I did waste his last shield. He's down shields. He does go ahead and knock me out. I was kind of debating which one to switch into, but I decided to switch into Crobat because I also have the flying move on Crobat. So Mud Bomb, not going to do much, of course, and neither would Dynamic Punch. So Crobat is a good counter to Toxicroak as well. But he does switch into Skunk Tank, and I go ahead and use Shadow Ball. Now, I know that his Skunk Tank does not have Flamethrower on it, so I'm not worried when it comes to my Venomoth. Of course, this Bug Buzz is going to be able to finish off the Skunk Tank, and we do go ahead and take that win thanks to that Venomoth. Loving this Pokemon. It's my favorite Pokemon that I've been testing. You know, some people want me to try out Quillfish, which I do plan on trying out, but I had to go with this Venomoth. As I said, starting with Venomoth, as I've been doing, switching immediately because he starts with Honchkrow, and I do call in that Crobat, getting off that Sludge Bomb, and that is he's going to protect, of course, so I'm going to go ahead and protect my Crobat and from the Brave Bird, and then he's going to pull a switch into Golbat. Now, of course, I'm doing a whole lot of damage to his Golbat, so if you're asking which one is better, Golbat or Crobat, I personally think Crobat is better. Some people I've heard think Golbat is better, but I personally like Crobat. Now, after these matches, he was asking me, how in the world does that Venomoth do so much damage to his Golbat? And I said, well, because it has Confusion as a fast move, and he didn't even realize that it had Confusion either. Similar to me, I had no idea it had Confusion, but after realizing it, I'm loving every second of it, you know. I'm loving using Venomoth. It's so much fun. But we do go ahead and get off the Mud Bomb, knocking out that Toxicroak, and we are picking up yet another win. And so as I said, basically starting with Venomoth, that's basically my strategy because I know his team, but your strategy could be different based on what team your opponent has, you know. So because he's starting with the Honchkrow and pulling out that switch to Crobat, he's switching to Golbat. Not really a great switch for him. I mean, it's kind of like we're on even playing field now, so it's basically his Crobat or his Golbat for my Crobat. So I'm totally think it's worth the trade-off, in my opinion. So, because as I said, I do have trouble usually with these Pokemon. But now I'm going to have to pull the switch into Venomoth. I'm going to have to block that Air Cutter just because I am weak to those flying moves. So, he does switch into his Honchkrow. I am going to have to block that Brave Bird. Do get off the Bug Buzz. Now, you guys know how much damage it did, enough to knock out that Honchkrow. So, because he had no shields, because I used up all his shields, I did I was able to knock out that Honchkrow with Venomoth, so fantastic. So able to knock out that Toxicroak, and we do pick up yet another win. So yeah, loving these battles, leave a thumbs up for Venomoth because it's an awesome Pokemon. Thank you for recommending it to me on Twitter. For the people that did it, if you want to follow me on Twitter at Purple Kyogre, you could join in on the conversation. That would be fantastic. You know, it's not me that recommended it, it's other people that tagged me in it, but you could also join in on the conversation and give your input as well, because I'd love to hear from you guys. I learn a lot from you guys just from commenting on my videos and giving your input into it. Like, some guy actually recommended how I could get the three bar, like, get the maximum damage for the tapping, like, get the 3 rings around it, and I wasn't able to do that before, but now since I tap with 3 fingers, I'm able to get the 3 rings around my Pokemon for maximum damage. I wasn't able to do that before, so thank you so much, guys, for helping me out. I really appreciate it, and thank you for watching the content. And yeah, so right now it's Crobat versus Toxicroak, and he's going to go ahead and use that Mud Bomb, but of course that's not going to do anything to Crobat, so we're going to take the win, and that's going to be it for this video, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye!